Her phone was face down on the kitchen table, still vibrating. Once, twice, again. I didn't touch it. I was washing a glass that was already clean, tracing a crack that wasn't there, listening to the soft insect hum of her anxiety crawling through the walls. She stood in the doorway like a witness who had practiced her shock. Arms folded, therapy posture, borrowed calm. My therapist says you're the source of my anxiety. The sentence landed gently, like a pillow over the face. I kept washing the glass, nodded. I see. My voice didn't shake. That disappointed her. She waited for denial. For confusion, for the usual scramble of a man trying to prove he deserves oxygen. None came. I dried my hands slowly. On the towel she bought after her third emotional reset. She exhaled, relieved, mistaking silence for guilt. Behind her eyes, something flickered. Not fear, relief. That was the first fracture. That was when I understood this conversation had rehearsals. Later in bed, she slept facing the wall. Her phone lay between us like a third body. It lit up. A name without a face. No heart emoji. No saved photo. Just a first name. Clinical. Efficient. A man who didn't want to be discovered by accident. I didn't open it. I didn't need to. Patterns are louder than proof. The therapy sessions. The sudden private walks. The new vocabulary. Triggers. Safe space. Emotional boundaries. Language doesn't change people. It exposes who they've been practicing to become. She started protecting her phone the way people protect lies. Screen down, volume off, smile on. I started counting. How often she said my name. How often she avoided it. How often she flinched when I touched her shoulder. How often she said, I'm tired, but glowed like a lit room when her phone breathed. At dinner, she spoke about her therapist again. He says I'm healing. I watched her reflection in my spoon. A woman rehearsing innocence. He says I need distance from what hurts me. Distance. Such a polite word for replacement. I nodded again. I see. That night, I stood in the dark hallway while she typed in the bedroom. Her laughter slipped under the door. Soft, unfiltered. The kind she hadn't given me in months. My chest didn't tighten. It hollowed. There's a difference. Pain wants attention. Clarity wants silence. I lay beside her later, staring at the ceiling, building a version of the future where I said nothing, where I stayed, where I slowly became the villain in her recovery story. I didn't like that ending, so I started listening, not to her, to what she stopped saying, and to what her phone wouldn't stop confessing. I packed at dawn, quietly, not like a man leaving, like a surgeon closing a body. 2 shirts, documents, my watch. I left everything else where she could remember it. On the kitchen counter, beneath her therapist's favorite herbal tea, I placed the note. Problem solved. You're welcome. Then I walked out. I didn't block her. That would have been mercy. At 10:14 a.m., nothing. At 12:03 p.m., 1 missed call. At 3:27 p.m., 12 messages. By midnight, 56. I didn't read them. Numbers tell stories better than words. By morning, she was unrecognizable through vibration. Her calm had expired. On the second day, I opened the first message. Where are you? This isn't funny. The next. My therapist says this is abandonment trauma. Interesting. How quickly pain becomes a diagnosis when it's hers. I finally answered with one word. Safe. She called immediately. I let it ring until it learned humility. Then I sent her the folder. No explanation. Just evidence. Phone records. Hotel receipts. The same clinic parking lot. On days she said she was learning to breathe again. A screenshot. Her name saved in his phone. Not wife. Not love. Just patient. The typing bubbles appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Then the call. I answered. Silence bled through the speaker. Finally her voice. Small. Broken in unfamiliar places. You invaded my privacy. I smiled at the wall. No, I said softly. I audited my reality. She cried. Not for me. For the collapse of her version. He said you were emotionally unsafe, she whispered. He said you were controlling. Of course, I said. Men who steal wives need husbands to be monsters. Another breath. Then the truth, slipping out like blood from a practiced wound. It wasn't supposed to mean anything. I closed my eyes. That sentence is universal. It belongs in museums. I know, I said. That's why you charged it by the hour. She made a sound that didn't have a name. I imagined her sitting on our bed, holding her phone like a life raft, realizing too late that therapists don't text at 2 a.m. That healing doesn't book hotels. That anxiety doesn't kiss your neck. I sent one final message after the call ended. You were right. I was the source of your anxiety. Now you get to meet what replaces me. I changed my number. I kept the silence. Weeks later, a mutual friend told me she quit therapy, said she couldn't trust anyone who sounded calm. I understood. Calm is dangerous when you mistake it for weakness. I don't miss her. I miss the version of myself that thought love required endurance. That man is gone. He was the real problem, and I solved him. Quietly.